Hello, namaskar, namaskar. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class. ISRO has soft landed on the south pole of the moon. India has made history with it. Now, ISRO is all set for the sun. With the launch of the Aditya L1 on 2nd September 2023, we are going to make yet another history. It is going to be India's first ever solar observatory. With the help of its 7 payloads, it will understand how certain layers of the sun work, specifically with respect to the magnetic fields and the coronal mass ejections. Do not worry about the notes because I provided through my Telegram channel, that is by the name of Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries regarding this examination, you can also talk to me through my Instagram. These are the many topics that we are going to cover today. Of course, with the news, we will talk about Aditya 1, L1. What is L1? L1 is the Lagrange point 1. So what are Lagrange points? We are going to discuss that as well. What was the budget that has been used in the preparation of Aditya L1? How many years have been allotted to it in order to study the layers of the sun, the magnetic field, the coronal mass ejections, the pre-flare and flare activity, and more importantly, the Lagrange points. We are going to discuss one by one all those. Certain important solar missions as well as the challenges that are ahead of us. First of all, let's talk about the news. On 2nd September at 11:50 hours, we are going to witness the launch of the Aditya L1. Aditya L1, as I have already stated, is India's first solar observatory. It will be launched with the help of PSLV XL launch vehicle. What about Chandrayaan 3? It was LVM, the renamed GSLV Mark II. And if we talk about this particular mission, once the Aditya L1 is in the halo orbit, Lagrange point 1, it will study the sun for the next 5 years. How many years? 5 years. So remember that as well. Now, it will take approximately 4 months from the launch of the Aditya L1 from Sriharikota to it reaches the Lagrange point 1. This particular time, it will take a time of 4 months because the region is further away from the south pole of the moon. That is why. So Aditya L1, by using its 7 payloads, it will understand how the sun's magnetic fields work. Specifically, when we are a spacefaring nation, we have to understand and protect our satellites. Coronal mass ejections and solar flares are one of the biggest threats to any sort of communication satellite, and what impact it has on the weather of the earth, climatology of the earth, that will also be studied. Okay, so Aditya L1, India's first ever solar observatory, is set to be launched. Distance of the Lagrange point 1 will be approximately 1.5 million kilometers. That is a lot, and this is about 4 times further than the moon. So that is why it is going to take 4 months. All right, moving on. If we talk about the payloads, there will be 7 payloads. 4 payloads will study the sun, as it will be in the Lagrangian point 1. It will have an unimpeded access to the sun. It will not be impacted by any sort of eclipses. So that is why L1 has been chosen. Although it is not stable, L1 and L2 points are not stable. But still we have chosen it just because we should ensure that we get unhindered access to the sun. Okay, so first time spatially resolved solar disk in the near UV band. This is one of the uniqueness of the Aditya L1. CME dynamics, that is coronal mass ejection dynamics, will be understood. Also onboard intelligence to detect CMEs. That means the remaining 3 payloads that will be there, they will conduct in situ experiments in order to understand it. Directional and energy anisotropy of solar wind using multi-direction observation. So multi-direction observation is also one of its points. Coronal heating and solar wind acceleration. How does that occur? This will be studied. Also, we have to understand that corona, why is corona so hot? Issues and problems regarding that will also be observed. It will also understand chromosphere, photosphere. So different layers of the earth, the sun would be observed. Okay, coupling and dynamics of the solar atmosphere. What is the magnetic field around it? How does it develop? solar winds distribution and temperature, initiation of coronal mass ejection. How does coronal mass ejection occur? Why does a mass of from the corona occurs and how it can impact the life on the earth? That will also be studied. So as I told you, there are 5 Lagrange points. 5 Lagrange points occur due to the gravitational activities of both the sun and the earth. And this is Lagrange point 1, where we are going to send the Aditya L1. And it has also been the home of SOHO. SOHO, which was launched in the year 1995. Earlier, it had the motive to study the sun only for 2 years, but it is still working, although certain parts are not working as efficiently. L2 is Lagrangian 2. This is home to the James Webb Space Telescope. Then we have L3. L3 is also a Lagrange point. L4 is also a Lagrange point. L5 is also a Lagrange point. So this Lagrange point, L1, is due to the gravitational pull of both the earth and the sun. These two bodies have so much gravitational pull that they are able to point certain regions out where it seems like whenever a spacecraft will be landed or put, it will feel as if it is hovering. Although Lagrange point 1 and Lagrange point 2 are certain Lagrange points that are unstable. That means every 23 days, the spacecraft will have to do a course correction because the spacecraft will be removed from its place. And because of the presence of spacecraft over here, sun will be studied 24/7. It won't be impacted. However, L4 and L5, these are much stable as compared to L1 and L2. But these are Trojan points. We will discuss that as well. So this is not exactly a point. It is a region where both the gravity of the sun and the earth are working in such a manner, they are pulling both bodies are pulling any object towards them. And because of the pull of these two, there is a region that has occurred where the spacecraft will be stable enough. Okay, so I hope you understood this much. Now it has been named after 18th century Italian astronomer and mathematician Joseph Louis Lagrange, who talked about the gravitational pull of two large masses. Precisely, it equals to the centripetal, talks about the centripetal force required for the small object to move with them. And this mathematical problem was known as the general three-body problem. It was considered by Lagrange, that is why. Okay, so as you can see, this is the fabric of space and time, the gravity of the sun, the gravity of the earth. 3 points are there, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. Now if we talk about L1, here an impeded axis to the sun occurs. That is why it is one of the most important areas to study the sun. L2 is home to James Webb Space Telescope, and it is much easier to put the telescope over here because it is continuously in communication with the earth. Continuously in communication with the earth, also it is leaving behind itself the sun, the moon and the earth so that it can be shielded properly. Then we talk about L3. L3 is a point which stays hidden behind the sun most of the time. So what happens that right now NASA is unable to pick out any sort of objective to put any spacecraft over here. But it is a point of fiction writing because the probability of a habitable planet is over here. Maybe there is another planet such as Earth that is present over here. That is why Lagrange point 3 could be created, or here as well. So we do not know that as of yet. Okay, moving on. As you can see, this particular diagram is also going to show us. This is Lagrange point 1. Here only Aditya L1 will be put. The gravity is such that both these bodies pull the object towards them and hence it remains intact. Although I told you that every 23 days it has to do the course correction. So the solar and heliospheric observatory satellite, it was also placed in the L1. In 1995 it was launched for 2 years, but then it is still continuing to observe. Aditya L1 will remain there for 5 years. Then of course, one more thing I have to mention over here, the budget is 368 crore rupees. Okay, and it has been developed by UR Rao Space Center or UR Rao Satellite Center of Bengaluru. So remember that. UPSC can ask us that as well. The L2 point has been home to WMAP spacecraft, Planck James Webb Space Telescope. And I've already mentioned this, so let's move on. And it also provides a clear view of deep space for our telescope. That's why James Webb is on L2. And L1 and L2 points are unstable, and a time scale is given. For every 23 days they have to do course correction. So fuel will also be used. The thrusters will use fuel in order to place themselves, the Aditya 1 L1 back to their point. Remember that. Okay. The L4 and L5 points are home to stable orbits so long as the mass ratio between them exceeds two large masses exceeding 24.96, which has been fulfilled by the masses of both the sun and the earth and the sun and the moon. Now these are called Trojans. Why? Because three very large asteroids by the name of Agamemnon, Achilles and Hector, they orbit the L4 and L5 points, and this is based on Homer's story, of course. So NASA's Parker Solar Probe was a flyby mission. It was launched in 2018. It had to face a very threatening heat of more than 1000 degrees Celsius, which is not going to be the case with Aditya L1. See, what will happen with Aditya L1, the challenges that lie ahead is because of certain instruments, they have been indigenously developed. We do not know as of yet what kind of temperatures they are capable of living in. That is why this is one of the challenges. Helios 2 solar probe, which was a joint venture between NASA and the Space Agency of erstwhile West Germany, it went within 43 million kilometers of the sun's surface in 1976. Okay, remember that. Now, trajectory will be such that first orbit raising will be done. Once Earth's sphere of influence will be escaped by Aditya L1 spacecraft, it will enter a cruise phase. It will go in a cruise manner, and finally it will get into the L1, Aditya L1 in halo orbit. Okay, and the Parker Solar Probe, I have already told you about its facing of the heat, but the thing is that it's remained operational. Now, from that we can understand that Aditya L1 will be operational. We do not as of yet know about the instruments. That's a challenge. Okay. Also the fuel. Now, if I talk about this very important discount that we are giving on Raksha Bandhan for the P2I batch. P2I batch has been launched from 23rd of August, but you will get access to whatever the classes you have missed. These will be provided in a recorded version. From 6 p.m. we are giving you live classes in Hindi, English, Whatever batch suits you the best, you can do that. Use the code PDLive in order to get the discount of 27,999. From 70,000 you will get it at 27,999. Definitely use the code PDLive if you want to take admission in any of the batches. Okay, thank you so much for watching.